Nice. Yes.
What
the? Please, please, clip it. Nah, but bro, like, I love me. Yo, guys, Zachriel here. I hope you are all doing amazing. It's been a hot minute since I made a YouTube video, so I'm super happy to make this one. Yesterday, during my live stream, which is I stream live on Twitch pretty much every day, twitch.tv/ZachrielTV. Link will be in the description below. We were cooking some tier 3 builds for healers, moving on to tier 3. So we were patiently waiting. Questlog, who I become partner with, thank you so much, Questlog, for believing in me and supporting me as a content creator. Did an amazing job updating the website so that we can have access to the builds and start cooking some builds moving forward in tier 3 here. A lot of questions arose. We were streaming for, I think, 5 hours straight, just no breaks, just cooking builds constantly. This is my current quest log with the tier 2 gear. I just wanted to clarify a few things and again just give you guys an idea of how I'm thinking moving forward, and how you can utilize my quest log if you want to. You don't have to build your builds for tier 3, right? So here we have a bunch of different variations. We have evasion for a bow and one with heroic cloak. We have evasion wand and orb. We have evasion bow and orb. So there are a lot of different types of variations. I was receiving questions yesterday. What do you think will be the best? What combination should I go? Should I play bow? Orb? Is seeker not viable anymore? So longbow wand, is that kind of healer not viable anymore? And it's super hard to say. What I can say is that I think that any kind of weapon combination will find play. I don't think anything's dead. A lot of people were dooming about evasion being dead or endurance being dead, but I think we did a pretty good job yesterday of actually building some good foundational builds moving forward. There are a bit of things to keep in mind as you are building, but I thought I'd just clarify a few things, right? And the first thing that I want to clarify is the heroic weapons are kind of interchangeable. So, regardless of what you have been building, be it you've built the wand from before or you've had the helmet from before, regardless of what you've built, you can pretty much change it without losing. You'll just have to play around with it, right? But I was trying to do, for example, an evasion build with this, swapping the cloak to a helmet, and it is viable. Like, it works. You'll just have to play around with it. So, for example, let's say I wanted to play with the helmet because that's what I have from tier 2. I would just remove this cloak. This is for the evasion build, right? And I would go for the forward general's cloak because that is still, for an evasion healer, it's still the best. I would put max health here. That's kind of whatever. And then you play the helmet, and then you'll just have to see, okay, so what kind of stats do I need to actually create a build that is viable? You could go strength, you could go dex, could go mana cost efficiency, max health. Like, it's pretty much up to you. 80 strength is crazy though. But yeah, I mean, it is doable. But you get the idea, right? Like, a lot of these stats and heroics, like, don't doom too early is the point that I'm trying to get across. Just because you've had a heroic combination before doesn't mean that you're out of the like doesn't mean that you're out of play just yet. So here, for example, since we went for the helmet, we now need the 2 set of the lightning. So you would just swap this to lightning gloves. So that's how you can play around with it a bit. Now you have the 2 set of each. And now, as you can see, we're missing 1 wisdom. We can take off 1 strength. It's kind of like that. So you can still change a lot of things. Just because you have a specific combination doesn't necessarily mean that you will have to put a lot of lucent. But the reason why I'm doing this video is because I know that a lot of people might see the bow and think like, oh, that's best in slot, right? Um, but it doesn't mean that if you have the one that it won't work. You could just swap it around, right? But just to give you a quick idea of how I'm thinking. So I was talking about this on the stream yesterday, and in terms of defensive, like when we're talking defensiveness, right? There are two variables that we need to have into consideration now. Depending on what you're using. So for example, if you're using a longbow wand, the continuous healing, so heal over time, will still be the majority of your heals. Okay? So do we then need the Divine Apostle's Graceful Gloves? If we read at the 2 set text here below, it says increases healing by 30%. Does that mean passive skill healing? Passive skill healing is heals over time, right? So flash wave healing, touch, all of that. Does healing mean passive skill healing? I'm not sure. So for that reason, we don't play it as a 2 set. We go for more evasion, going with Forgotten Lotus Garb 2 set and then the Lightning 2 set, for example, right? So there are two variables, as I said, that you have to take into consideration as you're moving forward. One is my weapon combination. What kind of healing will it actually do? Am I gonna mainly shield? Am I gonna mainly heal, as in non-heals over time, wand heals, so swift healing and whatnot? Or will I be playing with the bow mainly? And from that, you can kind of gauge what sets you want to play, right? So each of these builds have different kind of combinations depending on what you're playing, okay? So that's when it comes to how you need to think with the healing in itself. When it comes to the defensive capabilities, you need to think of it as layering defenses. For an evasion build, the way I like to build it, at least, and what's been working for me, has been I start with evasion. That's my first layer of defense, right? So if I have a lot of evasion, that means that not a lot of hits will hit me. Okay, so I will evade a lot of hits. The hits that will hit me are 100% guaranteed to crit because I'm not running endurance, right? Endurance counters crit. So every hit that hits me will more or less crit. Okay. So I want to build crit damage resistance. So in my case, if I look at my evasion here, these are my evasion stats right now. You can obviously play around with it. You can swap this, like the resonance effects, to magic evasion. You can swap around runes and whatnot. But I just wanted to have a somewhat baseline, right? If I look at my crit damage resistance, there? It's 35% right now. So any type of crits that I receive, obviously there are crit damage increases passively and whatnot, but I will still shave off some of that damage. There is an argument, I've been talking about it before. I was playing melee evasion, less magic evasion, and magic heavy attack evasion in tier 2. Like in the grand finals of the tier 2 tournament, that was what I was running. So I was going for, okay, I'm not going to get hit by melees. I'm most likely going to get hit by staffs because they run enough hit to the point where I cannot defend myself against them. So I'm just going to drop a bit of magic evasion, okay, and go for more magic heavy attack evasion. So staffs will most likely hit me, but they're not going to heavy, at least, okay? Then I had crit damage resistance, and a stat that I really like is skill damage resistance. I think it's been super slept on. I know a lot of healers started building it late tier 2. Maybe they finally listened to me. I don't know. But it's been super good, and I know a lot of healers have been happy with it. But yeah, looking at the stats just on a baseline perspective, I mean, the stats are looking super nice. I have endurance here right now because I was playing around with the endurance build. That's how you need to approach layering when it comes to defenses. You can still go, as I said, like crit damage resistance, some skill damage resistance, but mainly maybe magic heavy attack evasion. Because the thing is, if we look at the belt, for example, we get a lot of skill damage resistance from the belt, right? And we get a lot of skill damage resistance from the runes on the bracelet. If you wanted to go heavy attack evasion, you would have to swap these. right? So it's super hard to get everything. Like there is no one build for everything. You just kind of have to gauge how you're gonna play, where are you gonna play in a GVG setting, for example. If you are playing on point, okay, what is the majority of the people that are gonna attack you? Will it be greatsword daggers? Most likely not. They are usually playing in a respawn group, right? Will it be crossbows running around on point? Cordy crossbows, maybe, but in the end, it's gonna be like crossbows will be playing as a respawn camper as well. Um, so that's also a thing that you need to keep in mind. So in my case for tier 2, the way I was thinking is I'm gonna take damage from spears and I'm gonna take damage from staffs mainly, right? Then there was this whole argument. I know a lot of people commented on my last video about evasion that gladiators, so greatsword spear, was hitting super high hit levels. At least in EU, they weren't. They people weren't playing them essentially, right? I saw them a bit in arena, but they weren't playing in a GVG setting. I went for magic evasion, melee evasion, skill damage resistance, crit damage resistance, knowing that crossbows would most likely kill me. Which happened. Like if I got targeted, I remember one war game I got killed like 3 times by the same crossbow, just respawning, dying, and it is what it is. So you kind of have to think about, okay, am I gonna play respawn group? Am I gonna play on point? If I'm playing in respawn group, maybe endurance is a better option because it has some weaker resistance in it, which counters crossbows, and so on and so forth. With that being said, I will not go through each and every build here, okay? Because that would take me hours to do it. But I'm just gonna give you an idea of how I think, and then hopefully you can use that moving forward when you're creating your own builds, or you can just play the builds that I have here. So for this build, for example, as I was saying, since we're not playing with direct heals, the main majority of the healing coming from the bro, you don't really need the 4 set from this. You don't really need the 2 set either. So we just go more heavily for the evasion. Okay. When it comes to the wand orb with the heroic cloak, right? And again, as I said, you can't change it. So if you have the helmet, for example, then you might swap the legs. So you go for the heroic helm, you go for the evasion cloak, the forward general's cloak. And then since this is an off piece, the only reason I have it right now is because it's a good off piece. You might go for the divine apostle. So you can get the 2 set here and the 2 set here. Okay. But when it comes to the wand, for example, if you're playing wand orb, majority of your heals will be coming from your wand. So it makes sense to play 2 set, right? You will not be doing heals over time. Okay. So it doesn't really make any sense to go for the 4 set in this case. So that's the way you build it. Okay. I am swapping the bracers, for example, because one thing is that the orb takes a lot of mana. Like it costs a lot of mana to use it, and the wand also costs a lot. Like Swift Heal costs mana, Clay Salvations costs a lot of mana, the orb abilities passively cost a lot of mana. So I have been changing a little bit of stuff, but most of this is pretty much the same. So it will be easy for you to swap around as well. When I do my build guides, I'm trying to make a build that is as universal as it can be in terms of investment, right? I'm a bit afraid of putting out these guides because I know that for a lot of people that might not be like in a super hardcore guild or whatever, Lucent isn't as easy for some people as it is for some others, right? Um, but luckily I've been super fortunate and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people who are free to play, who are trying to achieve this kind of build, and it's been working out fine for them. But that's the reasoning around like how you should approach the wand orb. When we talk about the bow orb, it's a bit of a combination here, because here you're gonna be healing mainly with this. Okay, so this is just me playing around with it, right? Testing some stuff out. So let's say you're playing bow orb. Here I'm going for some mana cost efficiency and some max mana, right? And the reason why I'm doing that is basically because in the wand, there is a passive on Swift Heal, which gives you some mana back, but you're not really direct healing and you're mainly like heal over timing. But I still feel like this is the most viable option when it comes to the bow orb as compared to this. Here you just go straight up for evasions, right? Because you're playing bow wand. Here, I still think having that extra mana and some extra mana cost efficiency is still a good option because the orb does use a lot of mana, I think. Obviously, a lot of this is subject to change, and there will be a lot of testing to be done, but just to give you a rough idea, okay? When we're looking at some of the endurance builds are a bit of a special one. I think that as it stands right now, endurance is not looking too shabby, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I've always, as you know, been super like I'm an enjoyer of evasion builds. I'm just gonna move these, but I think that endurance builds are looking super fine. Like it's looking really juicy. I'm not gonna lie. So when it comes to the layering, so for evasion, I'm going evasion, crit damage resistance, skill damage resistance, right? When it comes to the layering in the endurance build, I'm going endurance, weaken resistance, and heavy attack evasion. And that's the way I'm building it. Previously in tier 2, I didn't get as much skill damage resistance, but I'm still able to reach 500, which is a respectable amount in this kind of build, right? So in the wand orb, again, this is interchangeable. You can swap these around. You don't have to run this as an heroic. Play around with it, check your stats and whatnot. It doesn't matter if you have 78 perception. If you need to pop 2 into strength to get some extra HP, you can also go like 50 strength if you want to reach that. Like it's very interchangeable. Like as you can see, you have a lot of HP. Albeit, I think I've been told that on the Questlog, this is bugged, this passive. So this is increases shield health by 25%, further increases shield health by 1.4% per max mana, 1k max mana. But right now it's increasing health, so keep that in mind. But yeah, so for this set, for example, the main chunk of healing will be coming from your bow, from your wand rather. So I'm running the 2-set Divine Apostles because I want to get that 30% increased healing. And as I was doing in the evasion, where I'm running Forgotten Lotus Garb, which is tier 2, I am also running tier 2 for the Endurance in Auric because it's just super strong, right? So I'm still running 2-set on this. So this is how it looks. This ring is absolutely broken as well, by the way. This, I think you will be able to buy it from the vendor, like the battleground tokens that you will be able to get. So the current one is in Castleton, no? So I think it will be the equivalent to that vendor. It's looking super good. So that's how I'm thinking when it comes to the endurance. So right now, just looking at it, you have around 3.9, like 3k on the other endurances. You can obviously play around with it. You can change these a little bit depending on how the meta is looking. If you're facing a lot of crossbows, maybe you want to go for some more ranged endurance. We're currently sitting on roughly roughly 2k weaken resistance, and melee heavy attack evasion is currently at 1.8. But if you check the PvP heavy attack evasion, it's 2051 because of the stats of these. And 500 skill damage resistance to top it off. Some debuff duration, obviously super good, especially against crossbows. Super solid build. Just like looking at it right now. Buff duration and cooldown speed are a bit on the lower side, but it's still a respectable amount. It's not super good, but it's also not the worst I've seen. Just looking at it right now. So, I mean, you could, if you want to, go buff duration. Like, you could do something like this, but it's like, yeah, I don't think that's the play because, look, you lose so much buff duration just removing that. So I'd probably still just go for the perception here. like that. So if we look, for example, at the endurance with the bow wand, here, for example, the main chunk of your healing, and the reason why I went for the wand here is because partly this is one of the builds where it's not as forgiving to change stuff because it's a bit hard to manage the stats, right? So if you've been playing, I mean, I would say that the majority of the healers that were playing evasion healer in tier 2 were most likely playing bow. And if you were playing endurance, you might have gone for the one. So it's probably more forgiving for you. But if you're looking at it here, the main chunk of your healing will still come from the bow, right? So again, it heals over time. You could argue that you could like play around with it and maybe you want to go some other sets, but with the nerfs, the Grand Aelon bow is a huge. Upon Nature's Blessing, heals 40% damage, plus 135 health per 6 seconds. Healing is doubled when it rains. That's crazy. I don't like those kind of effects, but whatever. It's good for open world at some point, I guess. Just keep track here when it's raining and then go open world. But yeah, looking at this, for example, I didn't really feel like I wanted to go for a set that gives me flat heal. So Divine Apostle, right? So Divine Apostle giving the two set, as I said, 30%, because that won't be the main chunk of your healing. So here I went for the Steel Guard just to get endurances even higher. So, I mean, looking at these endurances, it's super juicy. And as you can see here, I'm up at 3.6k almost ranged endurance. And that's also partly because I've played around a little bit, removing some of the magic endurance on the resonance effects. I also swapped around some of the runes. So you don't have to like play around with it. See what fits and what works for you. I would still recommend you, like for anyone who watches my stream, I am not one to like self glaze or anything, but I have been playing this game for a long time and I've been fortunate enough to play on the highest level for a long time. I have access to some of the best DPS, if not the best DPS in the game, that I can like just talk to and pick their brains about how they're building and how it's looking. And I'm a above average healer myself, so you can still run these builds. The things that I would change is depending on maybe region and whatnot and what's meta currently, and just follow along and follow me on Discord, follow me on Twitch, just to keep track of what's changing and whatnot. Yeah. But that's the whole idea. I thought I'd just do this video for you guys. I want to also add that you should keep track of the description because I do update here a lot. So here I'm writing Build Cook that was done live on stream. Make sure to follow me on ZachrielTV and join me on Discord. Just looking at it, it's not looking like healers are giga cooked. And here, for any evasion healer running helmet, you can still play that instead of cloak. Like I keep adding a bunch of stuff here, right? But I thought I'd still make this video to address some of the questions that might arise, like, oh, but I have the wand and I'm an evasion healer. Can I still play it? Yes, you can. I am playing the bow, but I am not running the cloak. I'm running the helmet. Can I still play it? Yes, you can. But if I were to make a variation for every single build, then it would take me, I would need like 5 million of these. Like it would just be too much. So I'd rather make this video, talk to you guys about it. And yeah, I mean, that's it. That's the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys are looking forward to tier 3. And I hope to see you on the stream. Make sure to join Discord and watch me on Twitch live. Bye.